Biden and former President Obama set to hit the campaign trail in just a few days, a space that former President Trump has been occupying for the last few months. It is president versus former president on the campaign trail. How much of a difference will it make? Let's bring in tonight's politics panel. A leading political and social impact advisor, Crystal Knight, is with us, as is Tony Katz, host of The Tony Katz Show. Thank you both for being here. And Tony, let's start with you. We just heard Joe Khalil's report on growing anxiety within the GOP. Some midterm races is closer than expected, according to polling right now. So what kind of setback would it be for Republicans if they can't retake control of both the House and the Senate, Tony?
Well, first, you're confusing a couple of issues, and we shouldn't allow that to happen. The issue here is not with Congress. Congress has been, and seems to be pretty well in the purview of the Republicans to take over. The Senate was always a question. It was Chuck Schumer who said that the Democrats have a 60% chance to hold on to the Senate. I actually thought, in one of the rare moments of cogency from Senator Schumer, that was absolutely correct. We saw on NewsNation just the other day that Herschel Walker KO'd Senator Raphael Warnock. Even the New York Times called it a tie, which is their way of saying Herschel Walker won this race. We might see polling change from there. J.D. Vance is ahead in Ohio, and you have Blake Masters doing extremely well against Senator Mark Kelly in Arizona. So this idea that Republicans are all nervous, honestly, and I enjoy the show. I enjoy you. I have no idea what you're talking about or what anybody else is talking about.
I think he spoke directly to a Congressman Comer who we just had on the show. But
Congressman
Crystal,
Tony,
I do want to get over to you, Crystal. Do you think that Walker KO'd Raphael Warnock? Do you agree with that statement?
No, he didn't. I mean, the fact that he just refuted. First, Tony said, it was a KO. Then he said, the New York Times said it was a tie. A tie is not a KO. A KO is a clear and apparent winner. Again, a knockout is a clear and apparent winner. If someone is saying that it was a tie, there's not a clear and apparent winner. They both did well. According to whoever is doing the judging. But I think, based upon my perspective of it is that, Senator Warnock did the best. He was more statesman. He also presented a very calm approach to many of the issues that were discussed that night. But I will agree, though, with one thing that you did say, Tony, is that Democrats are poised to still maintain the majority in the Senate. On the House side, it is not looking as promising, but ultimately, the Senate does, it will remain in the control of the Democrats.
Well, Crystal, former President Obama, as we know, planning to campaign for Democratic candidates in Georgia, Wisconsin, and Michigan. How much sway will Obama have in those tight swing state races, do you think?
Well, I think he'll have some sway because he's still more popular than President Biden right now, which is an unfortunate thing, but also fortunate that he's still willing to get out on the stump for Democratic candidates. Having big ticket, names like former President Obama, and even sitting members who are in the party right now, it is helpful because people do get energized by folks that they see who are endorsing candidates that are actively running. But ultimately, what I always say, the issues matter in the states, the issues matter in the districts where candidates are running for office.
Tony, over to you. Meanwhile, former President Trump has seemingly been on the campaign trail for months now. And one of his latest endorsements, Congressman Lee Zeldin, running against incumbent New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Why do you think Trump waited so long to endorse in that race? Will it make a difference?
Well, first, it's President Trump. He's always on the campaign trail. He has never stopped being on the campaign trail. I couldn't tell you, not knowing anything about that inner circle, why he waited. Lee Zeldin has engaged a very strong race against Governor Hochul there. I don't think she is as popular as she would maybe hope or wish that she would like to believe that she is. But I got to go back to this conversation about Congressman Comer and saying that suburban women were very upset about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. You can argue that some of them were upset about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. You cannot argue that in today's world, that's the leading conversation in the polls. It is crime, it is education, it is inflation, which is at 8.2%, not as President Biden said the other day at 2%. That was simply untrue. That's what they're focused on, and those are the leading issues going into this election. It's not abortion.
Crystal, quick gut check from you on that. Is abortion the leading issue in most voters' minds right now?
I actually agree with Tony here. I don't think abortion is the leading issue. Is it a leading issue in a particular race, like in Georgia? Maybe, considering what's happened with Herschel Walker. But ultimately, he's right around crime, inflation, and just the economy in general. Those are the things that people care about, and they vote with their pocketbooks.
Crystal Knight and Tony Katz, I appreciate both of you coming to the table and having the conversation. Thank you both.